Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94 here, back with another reaction video. Today, we finna react to Save the Last Dance. This is by the homegirl for the nostalgia. Save the Last Dance is definitely not in my it's definitely not in my movie recommended at all. I really don't like this movie. But we gonna react to it anyway. It's not my cup of tea, but hey, it might be yours. It might be a cult classic to you. I don't know. Save the Last Dance, definitely not it for me. But anyways, though, without further ado, let's get right into it.
Watch me squash this.
Oh yeah, by the way, this whole intro is now copyrighted. Her little intro is now copyrighted. So now when they ask, so when I upload this video, I gotta take her intro out. I gotta trim her. I gotta cut her intro out the video because the song is copyrighted now, which sucks.
This is another movie that I vividly remember going to the movies to see. There was so much hype around this one, especially since it was an MTV film. You had all the up-and-comers of the early 2000s in this one, along with Fatima Robinson, who is famous for choreographing for Aaliyah and Michael Jackson, helping with the moves for this film. I remember watching the DVD where they had a segment that you could watch to learn different routines from the film. It was a moment, but with that being said, we hyped this movie up, along with the stiff-ass dancing from Julia, and for that, we all deserve a side eye. And of course, while watching this film, I had some thoughts, but before we get to that, we have to recap, so let's get into it. The movie starts off with us meeting our main character, Sarah. She's on a train, and when asked if she dances after this lady notices a dance magazine she had, we go into her backstory. Sarah used to be a ballet dancer. We see her mom giving her a pep talk and a gift as she prepares for her audition for Juilliard. The day of her audition, her mother was swamped with orders at her floral shop, and Sarah was pissed at her for not being available for her audition. Her mother promised she would be there, but as Sarah is called to audition, she had yet to arrive. We go back and forth between Sarah and her mom. We see Sarah dancing at her audition, and we see her mom get into a car wreck. We also see Sarah receive the bad news about her mom's death. We go to present day. Sarah has arrived in Chicago where her dad, Roy, lives. She will be staying with him moving forward. Her dad has not been present in her life at all up until this point.
Sad hood
just
movie.
imagine what a shock this is to her, losing her mom and getting shipped to a guy she barely knows. And then this man didn't even have a room ready for her or even a spare bed, which again lets you know he wasn't involved at all. Homegirl had to sleep on the couch. Listen, you've been kid-free, responsibility-free for a long time. Why don't you have the funds to get this girl a bed? Child. But we fast forward to her first day of school. This school is a lot different than her previous school, obviously. Metal detectors meet her at the door. It's a majority black school. It's a big change. But Sarah makes it to her first class and tries to settle in. When she responds to a question from her teacher, she unintentionally starts a debate with this guy, Derek. They go back and forth for a bit and it rubs Sarah the wrong way. In between classes, Sarah makes the mistake of placing her backpack on the floor, and Chanel swoops in to give her a quick lesson about not placing her items on the floor. Sarah thanks her, but before she could spark up a conversation, Chanel was gone. Later during lunch period, Sarah finds herself sitting with the wrong group, and Chanel comes through for her again and brings her over to her table with her friend group. They all introduce themselves, and a moment later, Sarah looks up and recognizes Derek.
Asshole.
You're gonna have to be a bit more specific.
The guy sitting by the window with the blue sweater.
Derek Reynolds? He's my brother.
Damn.
Oh.
Anyway, we go to Derek and Malachi, who are childhood friends. It's Malachi's first day back at school.
Me personally, I wouldn't take this level
Derek
of
tries to give
disrespect.
him advice about staying out of trouble, but we shall see if he listens. We fast forward to Sarah at home with Roy. He has nothing in the fridge other than these Hunger Man dinners. Sarah wanted no parts. He also tries to get Sarah to come to one of his gigs, and she declines. I wonder how many recitals he's shown up to. Child. But anyway, the awkward moments start early when Sarah meets Chanel in front of the school and is reintroduced to her brother Derek. Their interaction is better this time around. Later, as the girls are in gym class, Sarah shows off her balance skills, which impresses her new friends, but not this girl though. We'll meet her later.
Hey, Nash.
When Chanel asks her about her balance skills, Sarah tells her she used to do ballet. Chanel then invites her to go to the club with them later that night, but to go to this club, they had to score Sarah a fake ID, which they got from this guy, Snooki. Of course, Derek had to start with her.
Steps ain't no square dance.
It's alright, I dance in circles, probably around you.
Later that night, Sarah goes to Chanel so they can walk to the club together. It's here where we learn that Chanel is a teen mom. Sarah doesn't judge her, but couldn't quite hide her shock. After eyeing what Chanel's wearing, Sarah asks if her fit is appropriate. Chanel brushes her off at first, but when she asks again, Chanel decides to be real with her and help her out.
Alright, you need to take off that top.
It's from the Gap.
It's country and you look country in it.
So they finally make it to the club steps, and I ain't gonna hold you, I would have loved to be in that club with them. I would be getting my entire life. But Chanel and Sarah make it over to their crew, and everybody is cool except for this girl, Nikki. Nikki didn't take too kindly to Sarah's presence and wasn't shy about it. However, Chanel got her together quickly and she went on about her business. Nikki sees Derek and tries to put some moves on him, but he isn't with it and quickly walks off. As Sarah and Chanel were at the bar, Chanel spots her baby's father and starts to get nervous when he walked towards her. He immediately starts giving her excuses why he couldn't see his son and why he doesn't have the time. And Chanel's soft ass falls for it and goes to dance with him. She's clearly still in love with him. Derek walks over to Sarah and asks her to dance. Now Sarah tries to decline, but Derek reminded her about that dancing in circles comment she made earlier, and now she had to back up her big talk. And child, she couldn't back it up. Those ballet skills didn't transfer over to hip-hop. Homegirl was a hazard on the dance floor, but Derek was able to pull some kind of rhythm out of her to this song.
I will forever see him as Jimmy from the barbershop.
After dancing, Malachi decides to start some
He'll always
trouble,
be
and
Jimmy
Derek,
from the
being
barbershop.
the good friend he was, runs over to have his back. After this, they leave the club to avoid getting in trouble. Chanel gives Derek a warning about Malachi as they walk home. Derek brushes her off for now. When Sarah tries to walk home alone, Chanel suggests that Derek walk her home to make sure she gets home safely. Sarah refuses at first, but Derek wasn't going to take no for an answer. As they're walking, Sarah and Derek talk and get to know each other better. Derek offers to teach Sarah some moves since she was clearly struggling on the dance floor earlier. He cracks a joke about it being her first time hearing hip-hop, and Sarah insists that it wasn't, but she didn't sound too convincing. Their convo must have been good because Homegirl went past her house and they had to walk back. It's clear at this point that Derek and Sarah like each other, at least a little bit. Old Roy was pissed that Sarah came home late, and Sarah didn't take too kindly to him trying to parent her and play worried. Sarah was 17 years old, so she wasn't receptive to him trying to play daddy, which is understandable. He has to earn that type of respect from her.
Facts.
We fast forward to Sarah's first hip-hop lesson, but this lesson goes good and Derek is able to teach her how to catch the beat. Slightly.
See, this part right here, this is that. Let me give you an example. Let me give y'all an example. How mediocre this shit. Hold on. This shit right here. This is why I hate this movie. This movie is the example of this shit right here.
And we're going to learn the Harlem Shake. All right, it's been around for a while. It's a pretty old school move, but still done today. It's still, people have fun doing it. as you would like to, which is why you're here.
Well, I hate this movie,
So
man.
let's start learning. All right, the first thing you want to do is get the groove, like I always say. So you're gonna go here, here. All right, get used to that. Boom, 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 boom.
That's what this movie is the equivalent of. This movie is the equivalent of a dance tutorial video on YouTube.
Look, it's a vast improvement from the club, okay? But when Derek tries to show off his moves, Sarah shows some ballet moves of her own, which impresses Derek and makes him realize that Sarah has been hiding her passion for ballet. The next day at school, Sarah walks in on Malachi threatening this girl. When she tries to get him to stop, the girl gets away, and when Sarah tries to escape, Malachi threatens her. After school, Sarah mentions to Derek how he and Malachi are so different. Derek admits that he and Malachi got into some trouble, and Malachi took the heat for both of them, and Derek feels like he owes him for that. Derek tries to inquire about Sarah's mom, and Sarah refuses to talk about it. Understandably, it's a sore subject.
Yeah.
But Derek and Sarah go to another spot to practice dancing. They create a routine to perform as steps, and Julia was trying her best, but homegirl was stiff. We fast forward to Derek, Chanel, and Sarah hanging out. It's here where Derek gets his acceptance letter from Georgetown. Derek and Sarah finally go on their first date. Derek surprised Sarah with tickets to the ballet. This ignites a yearning within Sarah, but also brings up some sadness since her love for ballet has been clouded with regret for how her mother died and the feelings of anger she had towards her on that day. Sarah finally admits these complicated feelings to Derek.
What? What's your fault?
My mom, the accident, the fact that she's dead. She was dying while I was dancing, and I was mad at her, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Derek reassures her that it wasn't her fault that her mom died. Sarah doesn't think she can do it without her mom, and Derek insists that Sarah has to make her dream come true for her, no one else. And of course, he'll be there to support her. When he drops her off at home, they have their first real kiss. It was cute or whatever. Their talk motivates Sarah to bust out her ballet shoes for the first time in a long time and reach out to Juilliard to inquire about auditions. She also finds a ballet class to brush up on her skills, and Derek comes through to support her. During this time, Sarah and Derek are still having their impromptu hip-hop dance lessons on the side. And finally, the night comes for them to hit steps and show off their moves.
Don't do it.
Nikki
Don't
was
do
not
it.
pleased.
Don't do it.
Watch
Do
me
it, do
squash
it.
this shit.
And she goes over and interrupts their dance session. It's crazy how he let her too, and went on to dance with her in front of Sarah. Yeah, I would have been pissed. And if this wasn't bad enough, Malachi had to rub it in Sarah's face.
You never look as good as she does with him. That's oil. You're milk. Ain't no point trying to mix.
It took Derek way too long to break from Nikki's spell for me. 10 years later, he finally comes up to check on Sarah. He insists that his dancing with Nikki was innocent, and she forgives him, and they continue to have a fun night. And this fun night leads to Derek taking her home and her inviting him up.
Hey,
After
man,
a short
Twitch shouldn't have
convo
shut it
about
down
her
last
dad
night.
not being home.
Blame Twitch. Don't blame me.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make up for lost
Child,
time.
you know what they fast asses did.
Yeah.
We fast forward to Malachi, Derek,
Somebody
and their
rockin',
friends.
knockin'
Malachi mentions how
lyrics.
the dude he jumped at steps came to his hood, and now he's seeking revenge. Derek tries to tell him not to retaliate, and technically, Malachi started all of this, but we'll see if he listens. And back at school, Nikki is still mad about Derek and takes it out on Sarah as they play volleyball. And those dudes that Malachi had beef with, they met him at the park and did a drive-by.
Damn.
Later, after their fight, Nikki and Sarah finally talk.
It ain't over, bitch.
I don't even know why it's
She was a hater. I didn't like her.
Why, but
I
this
didn't like
was so
her. She
funny
was a
to me.
hater.
But Nikki brings up how white girls like Sarah are always coming around stealing their men, and Sarah dismisses what she says since she can't
No,
relate.
I'm gonna
nor
wait.
does she truly
It's only
get
two.
where
It's only
she's coming
two.
from.
What's about to be three?
Meanwhile, Malachi is pressuring
Nah,
Derek
4
hard
o'clock is
about
when I start
helping him
getting
get back
shut-eye.
at the dudes who did the drive-by. Again, he started all of this. When Sarah suggests that they go home, Malachi gets mad and tells her to stay in her place, which doesn't go over well with Derek.
Get on my face, college boy. And take that trailer trash home with you.
Yeah, he earned that.
This starts the breakdown of Malachi and Derek's friendship. When Derek makes it home, he finds Chanel and her baby's father in an argument. He came to pick up their son, but since he's barely around, his son doesn't want to go with him. And Chanel is still up his ass about giving her money for their son's needs since she's doing literally everything else. He lets out his anger a bit too much, and Chanel refuses to let him take their son and shows him the door. We fast forward to Chanel, her son, and Sarah at the doctor's. It seems that Chanel's son was not only irritable, but he may even be sick. Chanel takes her irritation at her baby's father out on Sarah when Sarah mentions Nikki's and Malachi's disdain for her and Derek's relationship. She's surprised at Chanel's take.
You and Derek act like it don't bother people to see you two together.
And this conversation gets to Sarah and it carries over to her and Derek's dance session. It eventually causes an argument between the two, and she suggests that they cool it for a while.
Nobody wants to see us together. We spend more time defending our relationship than actually having one. It's so hard.
Oh, so everything's gotta be easy?
Derek asks for confirmation on if she wants to be with him since he's messed up his friendship with Malachi over her, and Sarah takes this as Derek believing that she's doing too much.
If I'm messing up your life so much, then maybe we shouldn't be together.
And that's all Derek had to hear, and he leaves Sarah and their relationship. Derek talks with Malachi and apologizes for punching him, and Malachi takes no time trying to get him to help him retaliate for the drive-by, and he insists that Derek help him. I guess he was like, since I don't have a future, you're not going to have one either.
Pretty much.
Meanwhile, Roy wishes Sarah good luck on her upcoming audition. He surprises her by showing her her new and improved room. It looks nice. He even put up old photos of her mom that she'd never seen before. This starts a new beginning with them as Roy apologizes for not being there and asks her to give him the opportunity to be her father. It was a sweet moment. The next day, we go to Chanel and Derek at the park. Chanel admits to Derek that she may have said some things to Sarah that led to their breakup. She admits that she was tripping off of her baby's father and apologizes. She also tells Derek that she knows what he and Malachi have planned and tells him not to do it. Derek tells her to stay out of his business and he leaves. We fast forward to Derek meeting up with Malachi and he tries to convince him not to retaliate, but it all goes in one ear and out the other.
I'm not you, Derek. I can't do nothing with what I'm doing.
In these last few scenes, we go between Malachi and his boys, Derek and Sarah. Sarah makes it to her audition and she's called in. Malachi makes it to where he's going and the mess begins, and Derek races to Sarah's audition. Malachi does a drive-by but doesn't even make it down the street before he faces the consequences of his actions.
Yeah.
Sarah is doing great at her audition and Malachi and his boys get hemmed up by the cops. Derek finally makes it to Sarah's audition just in time to see her do her second routine. Now, I won't show the whole thing because it wasn't the greatest looking back, but it had its moments.
This, oh my God.
And of course, Sarah does well and gets into Juilliard.
This shit is so cringeworthy.
What would be the point if she didn't? Sometime later, Chanel and Sarah make up and they dance the night away at Steps. And that's the end of the movie. And here are my final thoughts. Speaking of I wonder how many times Carrie said that in this movie. I wouldn't be shocked if it's over 10. I hadn't watched this movie in a minute, but it's still a good watch. The music is the cherry on top for me. 2001 was such a good year for music. It was a whole vibe, but let's get into these
She ain't tell no lies.
To be honest, Sarah handled this transition in her life a lot better than I would have. She lost her mom, lost out on her chance to go to Juilliard. She had to move in with a father she didn't know, go to a new school that was completely different from what she was used to. Her surroundings changed overnight. I would have expected her to take the change hard, and maybe she was a bit numb, or maybe she felt like she had no choice but to deal, but still, she handled this better than most. I loved how Chanel immediately looked out for her. I wish we could have had more moments with Chanel because I loved her character, and I loved how she looked out for her people. I also wish we could have seen more of her story with her baby's father. Speaking,
don't nobody want to see that shit.
I was so irritated with his ass. He had all the excuses in the world. Oh, it's so hard. You don't understand. And I'm like, I think she does. She's the one actually here with this child 24/7. Her being a parent is mandatory. You get to come and go, pick and choose when you want to show up. I didn't like the fact that she held a place in her heart for him still, but this
nigga look like he 40
so
though.
It is what it is. As far as Malachi, I feel like he was trying to take Derek down with him. He took the heat for Derek, which was something that he didn't have to do, but then he used it against him every chance he got. He hung it over his head and tried to make him feel guilty for not wanting to participate in drama that he intentionally started. He even tried to push Sarah out when he noticed that she, along with Chanel, were pushing Derek away from him. Malachi was an op, for sure. As for Sarah and Derek's love story, while it was sweet, I think Sarah and Derek weren't aware of what all came with being in an interracial relationship. There will be people who are accepting and people who aren't. Nikki was hating on Sarah because she wanted Derek back for the most part. But the fact that Sarah was white really took her over the edge. And Malachi,
Black queens forever, snow bunnies never. I said black queens forever, snow bunnies never. I said black queens forever, snow bunnies never.
They were both more bothered that they couldn't have Derek the way they wanted him or make him do what they wanted him to do. But all in all, this movie is still a good watch, and I've had this soundtrack on repeat all this week. Anyway, that's it for this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you have.
Alrighty, man. So let's just go about do it for this one. This is one of the movies you would. I never understood the hype around this movie. This movie is basic as fuck. I don't know if it has to do with the interracial relationships or the fact that they tried to do a hood movie with a white lead. I never understood the hype around this movie. Niggas was playing this movie nonstop when it first came out, especially when it came to DVD and VHS. I never understood the hype around this movie. This movie is just mid. I'm not gonna say it was bad, but basic plot. The beginning is really good. It's sad. It's a sad beginning, but it's really good. Then after that, the rest of this movie is just like, it's like white homegirl in the hood trying to fit in. The dancing is, like I said, the dancing is YouTube instruction level of cringe. Yeah, this movie wasn't it, but I understand some people may see this as a classic. That's you. Me personally, if I had to give it my thoughts, like I said, it's mid, but at the same time, I wouldn't watch this movie even if it was the only good thing on TV.
Hear me and hear me good, nigga. I'm here to double down. That shit is a 2-pack of ass. The fuck are you talking about? That shit stinks.
Just saying. But anyways, though, that's just gonna about do it for this one, man. I am about to go to bed. I am tired. I gotta go to work. Yeah. I'll see y'all the next one, man. Till then, peace out. All right.